Today we're talking with someone who started just like you, watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts.
He started when he was 19 years old with only $300 in his pocket, and now he's 22 on his way to becoming a millionaire. All right, so as promised, we are lucky enough to sit down today with Vlad, one of our good friends and fellow real estate investors. He's absolutely kicking ass in the wholesale and flip game. So Vlad, thanks for coming here.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Dude, it's awesome to have you in the Boeckle Brothers studio finally, man.
That's awesome. You guys did a great job here.
Thank you.
It's nice.
Thank you.
Nice decor.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we wanted to have you here is we've tried to do a lot of business together. We've looked at deals together. We've helped each other, which is all fine and dandy, but really, I think the value from you as a person comes and applies to our viewers, where you're so young, you're doing so much, and you're not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about you, and that's what we want to kind of communicate to everyone out there watching that may be thinking of doing what you're doing or just getting started doing what you're doing, that really doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter if you have money or don't have money, you can absolutely do it, and you're a true testament to that.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I started off when I was just 19 and had $300, so definitely like every limiting belief that you could possibly have.
Money in the bank, $300.
$300. That's it. That's all I had. That's all I had saved up. So I was not balling at all, and super young. So not crazy knowledgeable in anything at all. I mean, still learning right now, but zero knowledge at that point. So I just got started, got rolling, kind of fell on my face, and kind of learned from there.
You made a good point too, because like you're still learning.
Yeah,
we're still learning.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
you're newer than we are, but we're not very experienced, or we haven't been in this that long either. Maybe 5 going on 6 years, and we're still learning. We're actually part of the same mastermind group.
Yep.
So on a weekly basis, we're talking about what we're doing, what we're struggling with, and helping each other in that way too.
Right, learning from each other, which is always important. Having those mentors in your life, whether older than you, younger than you. I mean, there's so many things that we can learn from you, and then you can learn from us. And we've passed, knowledge back and forth already, over the year we've known each other now. So
yeah, absolutely.
Did you go to college, or did you have plans out of high school to go to college?
Yeah, so I did go to college for a bit. I went to UNLV out here in Vegas, and
cool.
Was getting my finance degree. In high school, I played sports. I played football, so that was my kind of major thing that I did. And so I had a couple, smaller school offers to go play football kind of throughout the country. Didn't want to really do that. I was like, I'll stay home, stay in Vegas. I'll be a preferred walk-on over at UNLV. So they just had roster spot for me. I had a scholarship for academics.
Sweet.
And so I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go play football, have a good time, live the college life, get my finance degree. So did that for a bit, and then that kind of wasn't working out too great. So ended up essentially finding real estate at one point. I'm sure we could get to that.
Yeah, I mean, going to school for finance sounds like you had some sort of plans to do some sort of business in the future. Because finance, were you going to be a financial advisor? Did you always like real estate, or did you just kind of stumble upon real estate along the way?
Yeah, I stumbled upon real estate along the way. Like originally when I was thinking finance, I was thinking like Wall Street,
Okay,
like
money manager,
money manager, Wolf of Wall Street, all the stock trading, all of that stuff. So for me, I was doing like little internship or like pre-internships with like Goldman Sachs and like JP Morgan, stuff like that. They were doing, we were doing like Zoom interviews and stuff when I was like right before I like started finding out about real estate. So that was my plan. I was like, I'm gonna move to New York, big city life. Like that's probably what I'm gonna do. And then as I started exploring other stuff, I realized like they're working like 14, 15, 16 hours a day. Like I don't know if I want to do that.
They're busting ass on Wall Street.
I think that's a good point, though. I think there's a lot of people going through that exact thought process right now, where maybe they're already involved in college and they're halfway through their classes and they're thinking like, this isn't all it's cracked up to be. Like, I know I said I wanted to do this, but that's because you made me make a decision when I was going to college. I don't know if I really want to pursue this, and that's a hard place to be. I don't know if I should go left, go right, do this, do that. Like, you're kind of a little bit lost, and I think a lot of people feel that way. So I think it's important to mention that success can come from that. There's no problem feeling that way. You just have to listen to it.
Yeah, and the difficult thing for me was I was always really good at school. So like my parents are like hardcore, super Russian like parents, like immigrants, like on top of
straight
me.
A's.
Yeah, straight A's. That's it, nothing
perfect
else.
attendance.
So I think I graduated like 7th in my high school graduating class.
Good for you,
like
man.
700 people.
Yeah.
So like I'd probably be if everybody voted in my high school class, I'd probably be the last person they think would be like, oh no,
Wouldn't finish college.
I didn't finish college.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, I just kind of found that along the way where I'm like, dude, I'm good at school, but I think I'd be better in like real life and business. I think I'd learn a lot more because I'm sitting here in this auditorium with like 150 other kids and I'm like not really learning anything right now.
So what, you're like 19 years old sitting there thinking this way. How did real estate come into your life? Like where did the real estate picture come into play here?
Yeah, so first I quit football. I wasn't really having too much success. I had some run-ins with the coaching staff, didn't love it, so I quit that. I kind of had I didn't know what I was doing at that point. I was like, football was my whole life. Now I just got to go to school. I'm just a regular student. I don't want to do that. So what's next for me? So I started doing like everything. Like at one point I joined like an MLM by accident. I didn't know what it was. It was like Primerica.
It's easy to do.
I almost joined Primerica.
I joined Primerica for a day, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, you got to recruit people." I was like, "This is not what I thought this was. I'm not doing this. I'm out."
Right.
So that did like an internship for I think Allstate selling life insurance. I like tried to pitch, my friends. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do that either. So I was like bouncing around doing different things. Got like part-time jobs, and I was like trying to find what I wanted to do. But one thing for me was I've always been like a hustler, so I'm like, I don't want to just go to school and just be a regular student. Like, I went to school, I'm gonna go home and take a nap. I'm like, I want to, if I'm not playing football, I want to find something that's gonna better me outside of the classroom, and like, I don't want to join like a frat or anything like that. So what am I gonna do? And so at that point was when I started listening to podcasts, and obviously, I was listening to like stock trading podcasts, different stuff, and then I stumbled on a real estate podcast, and I was like, "What? This is cool."
I think it was Ryan Pineda's podcast.
It was Ryan Pineda's podcast.
Who, if you don't know Ryan Pineda, another awesome influencer and real estate investor. We actually had him on our channel too, so definitely go and check out that video.
Yep. It was Ryan Pineda, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm flipping 100 homes in Vegas a year," and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I Googled it. I was like, how much is a house flip? It's like $20,000 to $50,000 profit. Sure. I was like, this guy's making millions of dollars a year.
That's
flipping.
a shit ton of money.
I was like, that's a lot of money. I was like, I need to find out who this guy is. So right when I listened to that podcast, I actually reached out to Ryan, and I was like, hey, I'm a young guy, want to get into it. I'll work for you for free. Like, what do you need? I'll cold call your leads. I'll clean your office. Like,
get your coffee.
Yeah, get your coffee. Like, what do you want? And he was like, well, I don't really need any of that right now. Kind of blew me off. And he was not blew me off, but he was just like, oh, I don't need that, which I completely understand now. 100%. And he was like, but we do meetups and stuff like that. Come by, meet some other investors. I was like, I'll be there. And so
that's where it started.
Yep, that's where it started. It was a day before my 20th birthday was the meetup, and I was like, I'm going to that meetup, and I think it was like he was like charging like $20 to go, and paid the 20. I was like, I'll be there. I'm gonna learn, and I think that's like when I really opened my eyes, because I saw all these other people besides him that were like, oh yeah, I do flips, I do some wholesaling, like stuff like that. So I was like, wow, like that's crazy. It's kind of possible. I'm young, but I think I can make it happen.
So did you even know what wholesaling was at this point? Or this is like,
no, zero.
You've never even heard of it? This is the first time you've ever come across it?
I'm like, I want to flip houses. And then they're like, all right. I was like, but I have a problem. I'm 19 and I have $300.
There's a lot of people out there with that same problem.
They're like, perfect. Well, get good at finding deals. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was actually, this was at the meetup. Somebody like explained wholesaling to me. I think it was, I don't remember who it was, but it was somebody else. They like explained wholesaling to me. He like, go out, find the deal, and then once you have a good deal, you could get it under contract, you could wholesale it to us. Anybody in this room will buy it. Like, we love deals. I was like, okay, and they're like, and you can make the difference, make the money, explain, just like, essentially
the structure of a wholesale,
And I was like, all right, I want to do that. Like, if this is how I get my foot in the door, I'm going to do that.
So did you leave that meetup and start immediately?
The next day.
On that, what did you do?
I looked up YouTube videos. I was like, all right, what do I, wholesaling, what do I need to do? All right, tags delinquents. All right, door knocking. Started door knocking the very next day. Went and started door knocking the next day. I didn't even know like what I was doing.
And did you pick an area to go? Did you just do your neighborhood?
I was doing tax delinquent.
Okay, so you got a list.
Yeah, so I was like, I did my research overnight.
You were up all night that night.
I was up all night. Up all night. I did my reresearch. I was like, they're like, look up tax delinquents. Look up the ones that are behind, a good amount. That means they haven't been paying in a while. Right. And so I was like, all right. So then I'd look up the house and I'd be like, all right, this house looks kind of janky. They owe like $3,000 to $5,000 in back taxes. I was like, cool, this is probably a good one. So I'd like map out like five to 10 properties that I would go to. I would go and door knock them. And then I wouldn't do it every day, but I started the very next day. So I think I went after class. And
what did you say? Did you have a script? Did you even know what to say?
Well, I've always been a pretty decent sales guy. I worked, like my part-time job was in sales at that time. So I was like, all right, so the pitch is I go and we're going to buy this house. Like, hey, and my whole pitch was I kind of made my own script essentially. I was like, hey, I was just driving by, I work with local real estate investor. We're looking to buy this property. Is this would you be interested in selling? And that was it. And then I just kind of start the conversation with them. And most people like weren't interested or whatever. And so, I did that for a while actually. And
how long did you do that before you got your first deal under contract? Is that how you got your first deal or no?
Yeah, that is how I got my first deal. Yeah. And, it wasn't actually too long. I think it was about a month before I got an actual deal. But it was pretty consistent of me like going to door knock and stuff like that. And actually, before I got that first deal, I went to a house and I knocked on the door and the lady came up and she was like, I just walked away from the door. And I was like, what do you mean? And I looked in her hand and she had a contract in her hand. She was like, oh, like another investor just left. No. I just signed.
Oh, no.
And I was like, are you kidding? I was like, how much did you sign for? I want to see. And she was like, I signed for $135. And I was like, oh, that's crazy because, I was willing to offer, I believe, $10K more than that even. So I was like, that's crazy. That, I'm so close. I was so close. I was like, so I'm actually doing something right because somebody was here before and they got the deal. I was like, all right, thank you so much. Like, I won't be back, but I'll.
That's a boost. That's a boost in confidence, though.
So that was kind of,
good.
I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path. Just got to keep going. So then I just kept going. I would go like after class. I would go to school, and then on my way home, I'd stop. Anywhere because I drive from UNLV. I live in like the northwest area of town. So anywhere that I would drive past, so like 89108, 89107, or along the 95.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, this is a great neighborhood to go. So I'd go and door knock tax delinquents there and just properties that were like kind of close to it, tax delinquents and stuff like that.
So it took you a month. What did the first deal look like? How much, how did you lock it up? What was the conversation and how much did you make on that first deal?
So that's the biggest thing, like on my first deal it was a lesson. So I ended up door knocking tax delinquent. The guy was a landlord. He was like, hey, look, bud, I don't want to sell, but keep knocking in this neighborhood. There's like some good houses in here. I was like, all right, it kind of gave me a little boost of confidence. Sure. And I was like, all right. So I ended up knocking his neighbor, and this guy wanted to sell, and he wasn't on any list, wasn't a tax delinquent. Just the guy had, he just had a load of stuff. It was like bankruptcy, he just got out of prison. Like this guy was like 70 years old. He was a mess. It was a mess. And this guy was like, yeah, I'm looking to sell, help me get out of here and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I want to buy. We kind of negotiated the numbers right there. I was like, how much do you want to walk away with? And he was like, if I can walk away with $15K. And I was like, all right, well, how much you owe on it? And he was like, like I think he said 125. And I remember, I was like, in this neighborhood, it's like 235, 245.
Right, there's
like
a spread there.
The comps, I was like, there's a spread here. I think this is a deal. So I was like, all right, we're gonna be back. I'll be back with the contract. We'll be here. Mind you, like, don't know what I'm doing still, so like no idea of what a contract even looks like, anything like that. So I get in the car, and the first thing I do is I reach out right to Ryan.
Yeah.
That was the guy.
Need a contract.
Yeah, I was like, look, this is what I told him. I was like, look, I have this deal. I don't want to make any money on it. I don't care if I make any money on it. Show me how to do it. Walk me through it step by step. Show me how to fill out a contract so I can go out and do it again. I was like, I think this is a deal. And he was like, all right, well, come to my office tomorrow. So I ended up going to his office the next day. I was like, here are the numbers. Here's the guy's number. This is what we're working with. This is the situation. Kind of like broke it down. He's like, you're making it easy. Let's call him. Let's see. And then we ended up scheduling an appointment. He was like, I'll walk you through. We'll do everything. I'll show you how to do the contract, and we'll go from there. So we ended up doing that, and he was like, oh, I think you'll make like 8 to 10 grand on this deal because I'll pay you an assignment. We'll flip it. Mm-hmm. But then the guy ended up owing a lot more than that, and just a bunch of liens and stuff like that. So I think I made $1,500 on that deal between the two of us. I think we wholesaled it for like 6 or 7 grand. And I think he obviously took the bigger chunk. He had to go through a lot on that deal. Ryan, still to this day, he's like, bro, I think that's the most difficult deal I've ever done. Yeah. And it's like the smallest ones are always the most difficult. But for me, it just kind of changed my life forever. Because I was like, what? That's crazy. Like, this is how you do it. I'm in the game. Like,
now you're off on your own.
Let's do it.
So you made a decision one day. You hustled for 30 days straight. You used your networking and contacts, got a deal under contract, learned an incredible lesson that's changed your life forever.
Yep.
At 19 years old with $300 in the bank, and now you had a $1,500 check come in.
Yep, I had the $15 check, and I was like, I am not spending any of this on marketing or anything like that. I'm going to do exactly what I was doing before.
Because it's free.
Yeah, and try to get another deal before I do anything. So the next, my first official deal by myself, like I locked it up, negotiated, did all of that. It took me another 3 to 4 months, I believe, before I closed that one. But that was a 20 grand wholesale.
Nice.
On that.
So now the checks are coming in.
So now the check came in. I was like, I'm quitting my job.
Well, yeah, for you, that's a lot of money at 19 when you had nothing before. I mean, $20,000 in one check.
Sure.
That's a massive check to receive.
I think I made 30 grand for a whole year of working my part-time job at that time. So and I was working hard. I'd be like, I was working at Hugo Boss at the fashion show mall, so I'd be like selling suits, like a sales job, but I'd be hustling, and then I made 30 grand, and I just got a 20 grand check right now.
Yeah,
like this is crazy. Like I'm quitting my job.
I won't be in on Monday.
I need more of these.
So you mentioned something too. You got that first check with the first deal.
Yeah.
You didn't reinvest it.
No, I did not.
You continued doing some free methods.
Yeah.
And you did it for a little while, and that paid out. Then did you start investing into the business?
Yeah, 100%. After that, I was like, all right, now I got to treat it, now we gotta get serious here.
You quit your job, you're getting serious now full time.
We gotta get serious here. So I started cold calling myself. So I got the dialer, started buying lists, researching how to reach out direct to seller and do all that type of marketing. Started texting. I was really started doing it all.
Still a one-man show.
Still the one-man show. Yeah. Okay. Just me on the phones, me on the text.
Yeah. So you went from door knocking to cold calling. A little bit. You could hit more people. Texting. You could talk to more people.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
numbers game now.
Yeah, I need to scale more because I can only hit so many houses walking around.
Right.
They don't answer the door or whatever. Right. But here I'm sitting, I could hit a bunch of phones.
Sure.
And still talk to the right people.
So with your business, you've been a one-man show pretty much up until just recently. So how much were you spending when you started building your business out or scaling it up?
I was not spending at all, much at all, really, for the most part. I mean, a couple grand a month, and I think all of last year was kind of my first year in real estate. So I think I probably spent 12 to 14 grand all year.
And lists, leads, dialers, tools and stuff.
Everything. And it's 12 to 14 grand, which, once you break it up, that's 12 to 1,300 a month. It's not much at all. And I was able to do, I think we did 150 grand in assignments last year. So
it's great.
We're burning super lean, but I mean, one man show. But I was just kind of getting rolling, getting started, figuring it out, and I was like, all right, this is definitely.
And you kept doing, so you mentioned 150 grand in assignments. Those are from wholesales.
All wholesales.
So after you got some wholesales into your belt, you reinvested, continued to do more wholesales. Now you're obviously on to bigger and better things. How long was it, and how long did it take for you to go from wholesales to actually consider, wait, this is a good deal, now I want to flip this deal?
Yeah, so I wanted to, for me, my original plan was I want to flip. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to flip, this next deal. So every time I would get a deal under contract, I was like, I'm flipping this. But then, something would happen. I'm like, I don't know if I'm confident in flipping this one. There's a little bit.
Let's make the 20. Let's make the 30.
Yeah, I was like, let's make the 20. Let's make the 30. We're good. And then December of last year, I was like, all right, this is the one. I'm gonna flip it. It doesn't matter if it's more rehab than I thought. Whatever, we'll figure it out. I'm gonna flip it. So I got it under contract in December, and we closed in January on it.
So that's still within year one of pretty much being committed to real estate, right?
I started.
Let's just say last year was the first year commitment.
Yeah, I started. I quit my job, got that first official deal in March. So March of 2020.
So less than 1 year, you achieved your original goal of flipping real estate by buying your first flip in December.
Yep.
Wow.
I really like this story because I think a lot of people are going to find that would apply to them, where if you want to get started investing in real estate, wholesaling's probably one of the things that you can do cheapest and easiest, and you can do it all by yourself to get started. Build up some capital, and then move on to the next phase, which essentially would be flipping a home.
Yeah, 100%. And I think wholesaling, or being a traditional agent, if you could be good at that.
True.
I was lousy. I was really bad because I have my license and I tried that as well. And I was like, I want to list people's homes. I was like, because if I can pop off $6,000 to $10,000 commission checks and do a bunch of them, I'll build up the capital to flip too. I was and no risk on that either. Just same thing as wholesaling. I was just really lousy. So I mean, if for anybody that is really young and you don't have the capital and it's hard to get somebody to trust you with OPM and other people's money to do your first flip, which it's possible. Start with wholesaling. Start with traditional real estate. Get those checks in, get that money in. Because once I had that capital, I was a lot more oh yeah, I'm willing to flip. Because at the end of the day, a year, 6 months ago, I didn't have this money. So if I lose it all, it's fine. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I'll just make it back. That's my mentality even to this day.
It's good. You're young. You can take risks.
Yeah, I'll risk it. It is what it is.
I think that's a mentality up to 35 to 40 years old. Is we could bounce back from a lot of harsh situations in business up until that age. After that age, you got to start being a little bit more careful. But at 22, you could take any risk in the world and bounce back, no problem. We got to be a little bit more careful nowadays, but we're still even at that front. But I think that's the most beautiful thing about real estate is your story, because you went from 19 years old in college with a plan to really not thinking that was going to be for you. You found you lost yourself and then refound yourself with real estate. Had no money to invest in anything. You started with $300, put in the hustle, put in the grind, and within 1 year, you achieved $150,000 in income from wholesaling real estate. But the beauty of it is the way real estate compounds, because I know this year is a whole different ballgame. So let's talk about what does 2021 look like for you? Yeah,
this year has been way different ballgame. I think we're on pace for right about 25 deals done between wholesales and flips. Last year I did 9 straight wholesales. This year wholesales and flips.
What's the mix for this year?
Flip wise?
Flip and wholesale, what's the mix?
I think I'll do about 10 and 15 wholesale. 15 wholesales, 10 flips.
So pretty much right down the middle almost.
Yeah. For me, I like to take, if I can take a pretty big, right now I'm flipping everything, but in the beginning of the year, I was taking a lot of bigger assignments. If I would have flipped them, I would have probably made way more money than I did.
Sure.
But whatever, it's all good. And we'll probably be at right about 550 to 600 in
Cross
total.
that half a million point.
So within 1 year, you went from 0 to 150, and then 3x that 150 in the next year. I mean, it's very hard to do that in any other business.
Yeah, really hard.
Because that's an incredible compound in terms of not only deal volume on your end from 9 to 25. That's incredible, but also the monetary income there. It's awesome.
So I know every investor, us alike, remembers their first flip.
Yeah.
So your first flip, you said, I'm going to buy it. I don't care if I make money on it. I just want to do it.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It went insanely well.
Good.
It was easy?
It was great.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
Ours caught on fire.
Oh, great. Is that the one that burned down overnight? You guys were there?
That was one of our first flips.
It wasn't our first one, so it was close.
We had a disaster, but it went easy.
Yeah, it was great. The first flip was, so I bought it at $225. And like I said, this was January, so the market just went absolutely ballistic at that point. The market was picking up at the end of 2020, but then 2021, it was oh yeah, everybody from California, we're coming. We're coming in. Interest rates are low. Let's go. So
whatever you want.
It was a feeding frenzy. It was a feeding frenzy. Yeah, it was crazy.
I just saw it starting to pick up, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. This rehab is only going to be 5 weeks. It's going to hit the market. I was like, but it's appreciating so quick.
Yeah.
So I bought it at 225, thinking it was probably worth around 325, 330.
And what would you have made there?
I think I would have made 25 grand.
And what did you end up making?
I ended up making 79 grand.
Ooh. Wow. You have any problems with construction or anything going on?
No.
Super straightforward.
Yeah, everything. I mean, everything was good for the most. There's like small little hiccups here and there, but just figured it out as I went. But we ended up selling it at 375.
Wow.
375, and I listed it at 350. So it was 25 grand over ask. They were willing to pay over appraisal. Went insanely well, and I was like, I love flipping.
I'm guessing your next few
goes well.
I'm guessing your next few kind of followed that same path and went similarly.
Yeah. I mean similarly, but definitely more hiccups in some of them. I had a contractor situation.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about real estate, and I feel like just business, is you just pivot as you go.
Sure.
There's nothing you can't fix.
Right.
Or like just get out of. It's like, it's a little stressful when it happens. You're like, oh man, like why'd that happen? But then it's like, all right, well, how do we get out of this? What's next?
Real estate's about adapting and solving problems as they come.
Sure.
That's it. If you could do that, you could sell, millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate.
100%.
So you started as a one-man show. What's the team look like now?
Right now, I mean, it's essentially still close to a one-man show. I mean, we have VAs that are cold calling.
Okay.
I have a leads manager now that is so not a one-man show anymore, because one of the biggest things for me was struggling with leads, managing the leads in the pipeline, somebody that is constantly like, reaching out after they're already in our pipeline and not just like a cold call. But we just hired somebody on to do that. They're also a virtual assistant, doing a great job, and kind of warming up the leads that we have. And then in the process of hiring an assistant as well right now, getting an office. So just kind of
Where'd you get that advice from?
Just from you guys.
That's incredible.
Right. So for me, I just feel like I need to get some stuff off my plate. A lot of I need to focus more on the big money tasks versus like some of the smaller tasks that took like 20 minutes of my day, but it's like should I even be doing that?
Right.
100% not.
and our time is what's most important right now. Our time finding deals or creating new business scenarios or new business models that makes the entire business run more efficiently and effectively. That's where our time's always best spent. So 100%. If you could take 20 minutes off your plate a day or 2 hours off your plate a day, it's always money well spent to have that off your table, because your money's best spent finding new deals.
100%.
Finding business.
100%. And it's like, that's what I'm best at. Like nobody can replace that part of it. So it's like I might as well be spending more of my time.
All your time.
All of my time.
Right there.
Right there. Like it's not my time's not best spent, doing little small tasks.
I had a question for you. I don't want to forget it. We kind of skimmed over when you were ready to do your first flip. You had made some money. Did you use all your money to buy it? No. How did you end up being brand new to flipping? Yeah, you've wholesaled, but where did you get your money from? How'd you do that?
Yeah, I ended up going the hard money route. I was like, I'm gonna do hard money, and I was like, I'll do the personal guarantee for me, and I don't really want to get anybody else involved. And so they were like, look, you got to put 20% down because we don't trust you.
You're brand new.
We don't trust you.
Okay.
You are 20 years old. We do not trust you. I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll show you guys. That 20% is fine. I had the 150 in the bank. I was like, well, whatever the 20% ends up being, on the 225 purchase, it was like 50 grand.
Like something like that. Yeah.
It was like close to 60 grand. 57,000 that I had like put down wire. Definitely like a big wire.
Biggest purchase of your life,
yeah,
right?
100% the biggest purchase. So I was like sending the wire. I was like, whew, that's like 57 grand just left the bank. But I was like, this is the next step for me. I was like, once I do this, we'll go from there.
One thing I love about that question, though, and you talking about the numbers on it, and we've done videos on this as well, is you put out 50,000. Let's make it easy to say.
What I made,
and you made 75,000.
It's over 100% return.
So you made over 100% return, and we talk about this all the time. When using hard money, we look at the return on the cash that we have out of pocket, our cash on cash. I mean, where else are you making 100+% returns?
Nowhere.
I mean, we've talked about 200% returns before.
Yeah, we've done.
So that's an incredible. That's what I love about the business.
Yeah, 100%. And since then, I've actually done deals where I've had 100% funding from private money lenders. So that's infinite return.
Well, as you grow and you prove yourself, you have a track record. They see that, and deals just get better.
Exactly.
Terms just get better.
And for anybody that's young, that's how you do it. You show people, and then they're like, all right. okay, this guy's legit. You know, it's kind of hard to convince somebody who's like, oh yeah, I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos. Like,
I promise I'll do a good job.
I promise I'll do a good job. Like, yeah, it's possible if they know you well, they trust in you. Like, I'm not saying it's not, but for me, I was like, look, this is my path. I'm gonna get a bunch of money. I'm gonna show myself that I could find deals. Then I'm gonna use my own money and hard money to do my first flip. Right when I did that, I started pitching people like, hey, I'm legit. I've done this flip. Can you please give me money? Can you please fund me? Let's do it.
Please.
Can't you see I did a great deal here? I want to do another one. Don't you want to be a part of it? That's exactly how it happens.
Exactly.
So now you're flipping 3 at a time. Is that right?
Yeah, three to 4 at a time.
So you have the ability to flip now a handful of homes at a time.
Yep.
So that money partner or multiple money partners have increased their loan limits of what they're willing to lend you.
Yep.
So that's only been able to excel your business. Where are you going to take that?
We're just wherever it goes. For me, I mean, I definitely want to scale the business more and more. Just do many more flips than just 3 to 4 at a time. For me, I'm pretty conservative with like the stuff I buy. So maybe that kind of.
So what's that mean? What does that mean for those that might not know?
Yeah, so a lot of people right now are kind of buying not great deals, and I see it. And overpaying, yeah. And for me, I'll never overpay just because I want the deal.
Yeah.
You know, if it doesn't fit my numbers, kind of what I'm comfortable with and my like tolerance level, then I don't want it. And then usually, I'm so conservative that whenever it appreciates a little bit, then I'm like, wow, like that was a really, really good deal. That's a really good buy.
Yeah. So, and you buy them deep because you're the one going straight to the seller and negotiating directly with seller. You're not buying these deals off other wholesalers. You're not buying them off the MLS. You're the one who is able to go directly to that seller and negotiate your price.
Yep. That's the best part for me. That's why I like off market, because if you have a listing and somebody's like, well, they want 320, you better hit 320 or go over, especially in this market. Right. But if I'm with the seller, they're like, I want 320. I'm like, look, I can't do more than 290. And then if they can agree to that, we're just locked in 290, and that's a 30K price drop.
Right.
You're not doing that on market. You can, but it's harder to do that, with.
We do it.
You guys do it. You guys do it. But I'm just saying, it's like I haven't had too much success with agents and stuff like that, because they'll send me deals, and I'm like, well, I need to be at this. Well, they're like, well, good luck, but there's like, a bunch of other people. But when it's just you and the seller, you can negotiate better deals. It's a little bit of a different ballgame. I like it that way.
Some advice from us to you, just in this position, because this sounds like where we were in 2018, where we went from literally like 6 flips to 25 flips in a year, and then the next year we did 45, and the next year we did 50 something. One thing that we regret all the time that I want to give you advice on is keeping some for yourself as rentals.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to keep some for rentals? Because over 275 plus flips that we've done now, we should own a lot more than we have, and you could cherry pick the ones you do want to keep.
Yep.
Is that a plan?
That is the plan. Yeah. So moving forward, I want to keep more rentals, and I'm gonna eat a big tax bill this year because I want to show my income and show that I, am a good borrower, and next year start cherry picking a lot more of these deals that I want to keep, especially here in Vegas. I mean, Vegas is just going to keep growing. I mean, it's going to be cyclical. Prices might drop or whatever, but I'm big on Vegas for the future, and I mean, we're here now, so. Definitely want to keep a lot more rentals, and I will keep a lot more rentals.
And it's a hard decision to make, because if you could flip a house and make 50K, you're like, oh man, that's so much to make on it. But you got to remember, you're paying taxes on that too, so you're really 100%. Not making the 50K. And to say, well, I'm going to keep this as a rental and it's going to make me $500 a month, it doesn't feel near as good as the 50K. But we're thinking long haul here, right? 25, 30 years down the road. It's actually going to be worth a couple $100,000 plus the cash flow on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And I'm thinking like, hey, 25, 30 years down the road, I'm not even going to be that old, at the end of the day. I'm going to be, in my late 40s, early 50s, and, God willing, everything, there's still a lot of life left.
Sure.
So if I can, have a bunch of properties at that point, it's great. That's a really good game plan to have.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a good thing to fall back on for sure.
100%.
So looking forward to next year, 2022, I'm sure you're already making plans for it.
Yeah.
You want to just continue to basically just raise the volume up, scale the business, do more flips and more wholesales.
Yeah.
What are some numbers that you're thinking maybe achievable for you?
We're gonna hold you to them too.
Yeah, I definitely want to hit that 1 million mark for sure.
So $1 million in profits.
$1 million in profits.
Okay.
Yeah, $1 million in profits. That's definitely a big goal.
So 23-year-old millionaire.
That sounds good to me.
And so you've done about 10 and 15 wholesales and flips. Maybe I got those backwards, but you're around 25 deals, right, for this year?
For this year, yeah.
So just generally, if all stays constant, you'd need to do about 50 because you're at
50,
about the $500,000
40 to 50 next year. If I flip more, I think 40 to 50.
Do you think that you're going to need to make major adjustments in order to achieve that, or is the team?
So
the people around you,
scaling it up.
Okay,
scaling it up 100%. Just hiring like sales guys and stuff like that in order to kind of do that, because right now, like I said, closing the deals is me. So I'm sitting here with you guys. Nobody's closing deals at this very moment. I have my lead manager just following up, but they're not making offers. They're not sending closing not sending contracts and and getting that part of it done. That's me. So I'd love to get more of a kind of out of that and more like big picture, like, hey, I've got all these other people that are finding deals, and then I'm just making the final decision, like yes or no, wholesale, flip.
It's a great place to be.
Figure it out. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you're well on your way. Let's put it that way. You've come so far in the last 2 years, and it shows. You are definitely a hustler, and that's all it takes. It takes hustle, it takes discipline, and it takes dedication to where you want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the proof of that. So,
and I'm very, very humbled to be here. I appreciate you guys having me, because I remember like right when I was just getting started with real estate. For me being a young guy, I'm like, hey. I got to find out who like the major players are. Who do I want to model my stuff after? And there's obviously like there's guys here in Vegas doing volume, but they're like kind of behind the scenes. Like we all know those guys as well. But for guys that are like out in the spotlight, like, hey, I'm doing real estate, I'm doing flips. For me it was Pineda, obviously. Josh Galindo and you guys 100%. Casey Ryan maybe as well. Yeah. Hey, we're doing flips, we're really doing it. So to be sitting here and actually like talking to you guys, super dope, super humbling, and I'm excited to see where you guys go, where I go, and thankful for the friendship.
Hopefully do some deals together.
Yeah. Absolutely,
we've tried.
Luxury, man. I'm trying to get there.
We will usher you into the luxury market if you want it.
Let's do it. Yep, I want to get in there. Want to get in there. Once I start marketing a little bit more towards the luxury, I definitely want to start, doing more along the lines of.
Cool, you got our number.
Man.
Let's do it, man.
We're happy to have you on today. It's a pleasure speaking with you as well. Future 23-year-old millionaire sitting here with us. So, congrats on all the success so far, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys.
I think we covered a lot of great points from your life that are applicable to a lot of others. So definitely, if you need to, go back, re-listen to what Vlad said, because there's a lot of value in this interview right here. If you guys have any questions for us or for Vlad, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and we will do our best to get back to you.
And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video.
But until then,
we'll see you on the flip side.